It is truly a blessing that so many of you have made the special effort, especially during work hours, to be out here and show your support to protect the safety of our children. I want to thank you for being bold and courageous to show your support publicly and participating in this important event. We will no longer be intimidated or suppressed by a small minority pushing this evil ideology that our elected officials believe to be okay for our children to have full authority to make life-altering changes without any parental authority or consent. I'm going to address this here real briefly just because this is a pretty big deal going on across the country. Obviously, we didn't see it here today. It was about, there was this massive group, unions, actually a couple of our federal parties were even involved in funding and organizing anti-protests throughout the country. I truly pray that things are peaceful. I mean, we don't know what's happening in other cities right now, but they were putting a lot of effort into wanting to organize counter-protests. So, again, I am thankful that we didn't encounter any of that here today, and I'm super blessed for that and praying that everything is safe amongst other cities as well. So, just going to skip through that. Having been very involved over the past few years, I've met so many amazing Canadians from all walks of life that I have built lasting friendships with. That has been overwhelming and truly life-changing for me. However, there's been a select few that keep saying, it's time to move on. My question is, time to move on to what? Honestly, it's very frustrating when I hear this, and this comes from somebody who, well, from people that would very much align with my way of thinking and to do the right thing, quite honestly. So it's frustrating, but it's okay. I'm always open to constructive criticism. So my question is, a time to move on to believing our politicians have our best interests in mind, or believing the nightly news? A time when majority of society was blindfolded and not aware of the deep corruption within our government, right to the local level. When I say right to the local level, I mean right to the local level within the city of Winkler and our surrounding areas. I'll address that real quick. I was going to mention it a little bit earlier, but I'll do it here real quick. Just been fairly involved with an amazing group of people that have been fighting the sexualized books that are in our libraries, and since last September. And so the reason why I shared the corruption goes deep right within the local level, we've seen that on the forefront since we started this mission, and it's just amazing how few elected officials are willing to let their names stand. And it's a work in progress. Some of them are starting to come around, and we are very blessed for that, but it seems like 2 steps forward and either 2 steps or 3 steps back very often, but we'll continue to fight forward on that term as well. Also, one more thing here, also a time to turn back to God's innocent, a time to turn our backs to God's innocent children when they're being indoctrinated and sexualized in their public institutions. So those are my questions for those that tell me it's time to move on. And then of course the list goes on and on and on and on. We all know that the evil agenda is spread far and wide, and there are many concerning things happening in today's day and age. So, but to those, I am sorry, but I have a God-given obligation to do my part here on earth, to help protect the most innocent human beings until the day the good Lord calls me home. I pledge to serve God rather than man.
Yes.
I thank God every day that He has provided me with the ability to think critically. And honestly, that part of my brain has been taken over, the majority of it, of my storage capacity since 2020. Before that, it was kind of just, life as usual and working hard trying to provide for your family. But these last couple of years, that plate has become fairly full, but it's all good. We're doing God's work, not our own. Okay, so we have speakers that are going to speak on this in a much deeper level of the things that are coming down the pipe in Manitoba Public Schools. These are things that you should be aware of if you're not, and they are very, very concerning. From my understanding, there's a curriculum already funded and implemented, just waiting to be enrolled in our public schools that will affect children physically and psychologically. Our schools should be teaching our children to add and subtract numbers, not body parts. Many have been saying this for several years now, and the time is running out if parents don't take a bold stand against the indoctrination of our children. I just think it's crucially important for parents to take a stand, especially, I mean, for everybody, but especially those who are sending their kids to public schools. And with public health announcing recently, it may be time to mask up again, and another booster is available recommended for everybody 8 months and older. We need to stand bold. The wind's fighting me here. We need to stand bold and say no to masks and no more jabs, especially for our children. Enough is enough. I am a blessed man to have a wife that has taken on the most important career a woman could ever have, and that is to homeschool our children. So if my kids are homeschooled, all of this doesn't affect them. So what do I care? Good point. I have little skin in the game for my own family, but that said, I believe every child should have the right to safe and proper education. So therefore, as long as the government takes thousands of dollars in taxes each year, I have a voice and I will not be silent. I will end with this. The best solution to protect your children is simply to remove them from the system. However, I know this may not be feasible for everybody for various reasons. Therefore, I urge you as parents that have children in public school to be vigilant, attend every meeting possible, and ask your children questions as to what they've been taught daily. Biggest challenge is working with my paperwork. It's what I do on a day-to-day basis. I definitely can't tell. So the time to wait for somebody else to do something, or assuming everything is okay, those times are gone. And of course, as we all know, that if a child has a good foundation at home, that is of most importance. Again, even if your kids are, obviously, a lot of you people will have children in public school, if they have a good foundation at home, I mean, that is of utmost importance. So. This will likely be claimed as hate speech by some, as it has in the past, but it is not my intention at all, and this verse speaks to me as well as to everyone else. I am convicted to speak God's truth rather than what people's opinions are, and want to close with what Jesus states about the protection of our children. It states in Matthew 18:6. Again, I'm going to read this verse. It can be very controversial. They're not my words. These are Jesus' words, and again, they speak to me as well as everybody else. They're not directed to anybody, any individual, but this is what the Bible teaches us in Matthew 18:6. This is King James Version I have here. But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged around his neck, and that he were drowned in the depth of the sea. End quote. As we can see, Jesus clearly calls us to protect his children. So let's stand together, hand in hand, heart to heart, as a community, and not neglect the most vulnerable on the front lines.